Coming to you from the studios at the Illinois Rock and Roll Museum on Route 66, it's the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast.
Rock and roll Chicago, my hometown. Well, I was born in the city, gonna rock the city, Chicago. Chicago rock and rollers are the best year around.
Hey everybody, it's Ray the Roadie.
And this is Hollywood Mike Esquire.
Esquire, did you become a lawyer?
Sure.
Oh, was it like a...
No, and not in any way that I become a lawyer or anything. We need to put that disclaimer out there.
Okay.
I'm not trying to be a lawyer or anything.
No, I thought maybe it was like
for
one of
legal
those
reasons and stuff like that.
universal life church type things where you sign up and become a reverend.
That would
20
be,
minutes.
That would be ministers. Yeah, in 20 minutes. Yeah.
You're a 20-minute lawyer
Yeah, that's right. Hey, it actually works
for only
because
$19.95.
I can marry you because Google said so.
I've been an official minister now for going on 10 years.
Yeah.
I've got I probably got you like 15 or 20.
Yeah. Yeah. I've actually done things, Cadillac Groove plays a lot of weddings. I've actually married the couples.
That's cool.
We do the whole thing. I'm there. I do it. We do the whole thing. And, the marriage, you, and they kiss and bam and throw the bouquet and I jump on stage.
Nice.
And,
So do you cut them a deal? You hire me for both things and then?
oh yeah, we absolutely do. We have done things. We have done things from marrying the bride and groom to working with the venue to helping them plan the meals when they're going to go. We do it all. We're complete wedding coordinators.
Wow.
We can do it all. We can do it all. We can even get them hitched.
Yeah, well, I think, I'm sure most of our listeners are hearing a third voice here.
Yes.
And who could that be?
I don't know.
I think it's somebody that you brought in.
It's the Twilight Zone.
Is it the Twilight Zone?
It is a young man by the name of Aaron Newsome. Aaron Newsome. Where's the thing? See, I got to try this now, right? No, that's not it.
That's not the one we want.
That's not the one we want.
All right.
This one.
Is it that? There's the one we want.
There we go. Thanks for having me. I'll see you guys next time.
That was good. Okay, we're out of here. We'll see you later. Thanks for coming in.
Very
This is
easy.
great.
I'll make it easy for you.
So let me tell you this. Let me tell you. So I met this young man, Aaron Newsome, at the studio of all places.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the night that I met him, right? He shows up wearing a suit. He's wearing a suit. He's wearing a black suit, complete suit coat, slacks, the whole bit, nice shirt and everything. And he's just hanging out in the back, hanging out there, not saying much and stuff. And then finally he comes over and he introduces himself to me. And I'm the guy running the jam and everything. And he says, "Oh, it's great. I can't wait to hear you." And completely, modest, humble, complete with the, I've never really done this before,
Was he carrying a violin case?
Kind of thing. No, he wasn't, but he was carrying a nice guitar case and stuff. Then he gets up there and he just blows everybody away.
Wow.
He absolutely did. Yeah, you did. I don't know if you realize that or not, but you did.
Thank you.
Everybody just all of a sudden, they stopped talking and they sat up a little bit more in their chairs and they put their drinks down and they listened to this young
awesome.
man. I'll tell you, a little bit of Elvis, a little bit of Roy Orbison, in there, country influence, rock and roll influence, and the whole bit, which begs the question. All right, we're going to go back. You're how old?
26.
26 years old.
Yep.
Okay. 26 years old. So, you haven't been around the proverbial block that many times
I'm
because you're
about half a
only
block
26.
away.
Yeah. You're only 26 years old. So take us back. You're a young man, eating your Fruit Loops, laying down on the floor in front of the television. I don't know, wearing your Superman underwear or whatever, watching Fairly Odd Parents and iCarly and
Jimmy Neutron, Drake and Josh,
and all
Hannah
that stuff.
Montana,
Yeah.
Sweet Life, Zach and Cody, all the good ones.
You're not much older than my kids. That's how I knew all this stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Then what was the calling? What was the Aaron? You're going to be a musician.
I don't think there was one until recently. But growing up, my influences, you hit it on the first one. Elvis Presley is my main guy. I've always listened to him from when I was a kid. My dad listened to a lot of oldies types of music. He was born in the early 60s. So he grew up with the 60s, the 70s. My mom was born in sort of the late 60s. And so she had the same thing. She's more of a country person, but that 70s, 80s, 90s country, where it was still really, storytelling oriented and it really hadn't done anything that was pop influenced yet. So that's the stuff I really loved. And then, but no, Elvis and Johnny Cash and Jerry Lee and, Carl Perkins, that's $1 Million Quartet, so those guys, but also on the other end of things, Alan Jackson, George Strait, I'm blanking on so many right now, but but not until this past December did I start really performing or doing anything as far as music is concerned. When I was in college, I, had performed in theater productions at Olivet, where I went to school in Kankakee, and done some performances and solos here and there. But that was more classical oriented and hadn't really found my true voice yet. But I've always known I could do it. It wasn't until recently that I started being like, all right, dude, you can do it. Like kick it into gear.
Yeah.
And so,
See what I mean? December. I got to call bullshit on that because there's no way you just all of a sudden, December, I'm going to do this. And
I started writing music last year is when I really I'm going to start writing songs that are not just songs, but like stories to me and mean something to me. And so after I started writing those and, sending them to the people I trust to listen to and give me that, not like, oh, it's good, really, give me that true friendship feedback, that I was like, okay.
The friendship feedback or the real feedback?
That real friendship feedback, friendship feedback where it's like, sounds good, but you should probably get rid of this, or you should probably add something else in there. The stuff that, not everybody's going to tell you. But everybody has always said, why aren't you doing anything with this? You should do something with this. And so I always sort of pushed that to the side and was like, nah, I don't think I want to. A lot of it was also nerves, too. I get nervous before I go on to do anything. But at the end of it, it's like I do an hour show and it feels like it's been 10 minutes. And I'm like, this is what I really like to do, I think, more than anything. Right. So it's like I need to follow it. But
I'm still missing the I'm still feeling a gap in here somewhere because like I said, all right, December, a few months ago, right? That didn't just happen in December. Like, when were your first guitar lessons? When did you pick up the guitar? When did you decide, okay, I'm going to play this instrument?
I was in college, so probably like my sophomore, junior year in college.
Okay. So we're looking at like 20.
Yeah.
Something like that. You decide you're going to pick up the guitar. And I get that because that's about the same time that I did. And it was that just solo mission in your dorm room, or were you playing with people at that time?
I wanted to learn guitar, but I didn't have anybody. I didn't really like the idea of having to go and have someone teach me the ins and outs of music theory so I could learn how to play. But I was like, I still really want to learn how to play. So I bought a guitar and I was like, if I do it myself, if I buy it myself, I'm going to have to teach myself how to use it.
Right.
So that was a big selling factor for the guitar for me. And a lot of it was because I really like to sing Elvis songs, and I really like to sing all these other songs that have a really cool beat to them. But it's like, I don't know how to do that on a piano or anything. I think I could do it on a guitar. Sure. So I learned that just for the fact of, accompanying myself in my bedroom when I wasn't doing this for anybody. But yeah, that's, around that sophomore, junior, 2021, just so I could have something else to do that was not go to work, play video games. You know how it is in college.
Yeah. Like for me, I knew that I could sing from a very young age, but I didn't pick up the guitar until I was like 20. Yeah. Same story as yours. So when was it what point in your life did you decide, I can actually sing? People don't mind listening to my voice.
Probably in like junior high or high school.
Okay.
I always had a really high voice. And I was like, I went to church and did a lot of music in church, but I was also good at it to the point where people were like, oh, you do a church song and sometimes it's like,
right,
a couple claps and that was really good. And then I would notice that when I went up there, people were really affected by it and moved by it. And
also depends on the church, by the way, because there's some you're not allowed to applaud.
That's right. And some they'll you should leave.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Yes, we don't celebrate the Lord quite that way. Yeah. No. But then other places you can applaud. So
So church was when people are noticing stuff. People are telling me I'm good. I didn't really do anything in high school because I was really shy in high school and didn't really know what I fit in with. I was in the FFA program. And so I was like, I can't be in FFA program and also be in choir. That's kind of weird.
What's FFA?
It's the Future Farmers of America.
Oh, no kidding.
And agriculture.
I knew that, but I couldn't put two and two together there. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
so you didn't do well in math in school, you're saying?
No, definitely not.
Okay.
No.
So I'll clarify that.
No.
But high school, I joined my high school choir my senior year. A friend persuaded me to do it because she had heard me do some things in high school as far as solos here and
I was
there.
going to say she heard him singing in the shower. I was going to say, whoa.
It's some things
There's nothing wrong with that.
some things in high school that I had done that friends had heard me sing at, and it was like, oh, if you're thinking about it, you should do it. And I credit that to why I'm doing that today, is for those people who encouraged me that long ago, even though it took me so many years to realize that, I should.
Yeah. Church is so church was a big influence. Friends, big influence. Somewhere around junior high. And you said there was some musical theater that was involved in there as well?
Yeah, that influenced the part of me that was like, I like being in front of people. I like doing something in front of people.
I like to ham it up a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Like if I can have a stage and people are laughing at me or paying attention to me, then I'm going to give it all I got.
Right. So did you think that there was some type of a crossover in between the person that you are on stage versus the person who you're just when you're just walking around, did musical theater kind of influence kind of like the persona that you play? Because I'll tell you what, your actions remind me of Elvis, remind me of Johnny Cash, remind me of all those names that we've just talked about, the way you dress, the way you talk into the microphone, everything. I mean, how did that come about, and where'd that influence come from?
That is very like stage Aaron Newsome is like, I'm not stage Aaron Newsome in real life. That's very much like influenced by the hours of watching Elvis, the hours of watching, those concerts from those old times, and just like how they could capture an audience and also spend 5-10 minutes talking to an audience and still be just as captivating, as entertaining as they would if they were doing some of their like solid number one hits. Right. So it's like, I just put it all together, and like I said, I sort of black out when I'm on stage, and I don't really.
Not really black out.
Not really.
I was getting worried there for a little bit there.
That's right.
No, I sort of just like
medic.
Oh, well, we've got you. So if he,
I no longer have my license.
Yeah, but in the middle of his performance, if he does black out, he's okay.
I gave you permission. You can help me. But that's sort of a mix of just that musical theater as well. You're always gonna be a little bit extra of a person when you're being hyped up by friends and family and people who are there to see you and want to see you excel at what you're doing at and be energetic.
Absolutely. It's food. It really is. I mean, the energy that they're giving you. I mean, a lot of people say, well, the crowd is going crazy because you're performing well, but I kind of think it's the other way around. If the crowd is sitting there just sipping their drinks and not paying attention to you, your performance is going to reflect that. I mean, it's going to, but no, that's fantastic. So the influences, I mean, this came from your mother and your father playing Elvis and doing all that stuff.
My mom, my mom, my dad, like my grandparents. I remember being in their place when I was younger, and talking about Elvis with them, because they're from that generation. They grew up with him. I always love talking to older people because it's like they grew up in a world that didn't have Elvis, then had Elvis, and now doesn't have Elvis. But he's still somehow bigger than he was when he was alive. And so it's like,
I've never heard it put that way before, but that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. And it's just like, it's fun and awesome and so exciting hearing those stories from that era of people, because it's like we had never experienced that before.
They had Elvis as almost a teenager, as a young man for several years. Then he disappears.
10 years, gone.
Yeah, done. And then he comes
Unless
back.
you watched his terrible movies.
Yeah, right. And then he comes back. And he was back again for how many years?
Just under a decade. Know. He came back in 1968.
Yeah.
He died in 1977.
Right. Man, you know everything about him. I tell you, I had, I don't know if you remember, but there was a newspaper called the Star newspaper. And I can't remember when they stopped publishing that, but that was kind of like the Inquirer when I was younger. And it was in newsprint. I mean, it wasn't a magazine. It was a newspaper, and it was in color, and it was newsprint, and it was maybe, about 50 pages long. And it was a tabloid newspaper.
Oh, yeah.
But I was a huge Elvis fan. There was actually a woman in my life that influenced me very much. She, I called her my aunt, but she wasn't really my aunt. I had an uncle of mine through marriage. It was his mother.
Okay.
And she was a huge Elvis fan, and she had a giant poster in a frame of Elvis doing the Hawaiian concert where he's got the white jumpsuit on, but he's got the laser on his neck and the whole bit. And that's how I discovered Elvis. And I fell in love with Elvis's music. I just absolutely loved it. And I had this picture the day that he died. I had this picture on my wall. I was 7 years old. And we lived in that house until about 1980 or so before we moved. And I had that poster. It was unprotected, newsprint. By the time we left, you couldn't even tell it was Elvis anymore. All the colors had faded out of the newsprint, but I knew that was Elvis's picture and it wasn't coming off the wall.
Yeah.
Boy, that's great. Yeah, but that's amazing. They had him, they didn't, they had him, and then now he's gone, but he's still around. That's an amazing way of putting that.
His daughter's gone.
His daughter's gone.
That's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's got grandkids that are still alive that look exactly like him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he had a grandson who passed away, who looked almost exactly like him.
Yep.
He's got his granddaughter's a actress in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And she's like, I think, running the estate now.
Yeah.
Priscilla doesn't even have it anymore.
Right.
Oh, she never did.
No, I don't think she did.
It was always Lisa Marie's.
Oh, yeah. It was Lisa Marie's. She passed away and they sort of had a little conflict. Who's going to get it? Her daughter or Priscilla.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I didn't follow that as much, so I don't know where that went.
Maybe we'll do another podcast on that. Just delve into the Elvis files.
You want to talk about Elvis for an hour and a half? Call me in and I'll be your historian.
I'm starting to get that. Yeah. I was thinking we need to call in a medium, but I don't think we do. So I mean, kind of off subject a little bit, but let's freaking talk about it because I loved the movie. I loved the movie Elvis.
Yeah.
Most people that I talk to about it hated it.
Me too.
But I think that they went into it because they went into it thinking that the movie was about Elvis, but the movie really wasn't about Elvis.
It was Colonel Parker's story.
Elvis was just the vehicle by which Tom Hanks told the real story of Tom Parker.
Real. And I say that because remember at the very start of the movie, before the story even starts, they put Colonel Parker on a morphine drip.
Yeah, right.
And then he starts telling the story. So it's like all those things that are in there that as a true Elvis fan, you're like, this is preposterous.
Yeah, right.
How would you include this in this movie? What creative liberties did you take?
Right,
and then it's like you see something like that and you're like, okay, I'm going to cool down a little bit and just take it for as it is. I liked it. As an Elvis fan, it's one of the better representations of him that we've gotten as far as a film adaptation. I think Austin Butler did a really good job portraying the several, eras that he had to portray.
He absolutely did.
I wish there would have been so many more songs and so many more concert footage and so much more of the Elvis in action that I really want to see. But
a lot of that had to do with who owns the rights to the music.
Yeah.
So, you have to be very selective, with it. But what I liked about it was, the story of Elvis is always sunshine and rainbows, right? And then the tragic end of his life, right? But then you see this movie and you realize there was a lot that led up to that fateful night.
Mm-hmm.
The king was on the throne, though.
He was.
When he went.
And then he wasn't.
Yeah.
So now I've got to add this to my list of things. Never been to Nashville. Never saw the Elvis movie.
You've never seen that movie? Okay. He's never been to Nashville, but he's going soon.
I am going soon.
Check that out. While you're in Nashville, go to Netflix and watch the Elvis movie.
Well, and actually it is.
In Nashville.
It's on Netflix right now.
Mm-hmm.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So now that you have that information, go in and start watching the movie because, don't be one of those people that starts watching the movie thinking, well, this sucks. This isn't true. Well, yeah, it is.
Yep.
It is. And the more I thought about it today, actually, while I was getting ready to come over here, I was like, there's quite a bit of his early discovery that wasn't added. And then you realize it's like, well, it's because it starts when Colonel Parker met him.
Right.
And that wasn't until after, That's All Right, Mama and Blue Moon of Kentucky and his Sun Record days.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, don't give too much away. I got to still see this movie.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah, you don't have to. But there, it's the Colonel Tom Parker years. It's not his. Yeah, it's exactly what it is. But yeah, you know what? You're going to watch it, and then we're going to do like a live book report on this.
Okay,
we're going to talk about it.
I'll come back. We'll grade you.
Yeah. So, what was the first guitar you bought?
It was a Mitchell
The most popular brand in Guitar Center right now.
I've talked to a bunch of people and they're like, yeah, never heard of that. And I was like, it's probably why. It's like $170 guitar. And I was like, this will get me by. I was like,
nothing wrong with them.
I'm not trying to perform for anybody. I'm not doing any concerts. I'm just trying to learn. I loaned it to a friend since I got my newest one. And then, he recently just gave it back to me, and so it's been sort of nice to see it. It's pretty in disheveled shape right now because I just haven't used it in a while, cleaned it or anything.
Right.
But it's nice to have it back.
Yeah. So what do you have with you today?
This is an Epiphone hummingbird.
Okay. Nice.
What I have.
Yeah.
I got that several years ago in college. I think my senior year in college.
And
it totally looks like an Elvis,
Well, you know what? Why don't let's have him whip it out and he'll play a tune
while I whip this
We'll play that womp, womp, womp.
Right. So while he's getting situated, we'll be right back. You're listening to the Rock and Roll Chicago Podcast.
Hi, I'm Rick Anthony. I'd like to thank my radio brothers, Ray the Roadie and Hollywood Mike, for allowing me to tell you about my podcast, the Someone You Should Know podcast. We spotlight musicians, authors, and interesting people, and we like to say we're making a difference one artist at a time. The podcast is heard twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays, and you can check it out on your favorite streaming platforms and on the web at someoneyoushouldknowpodcast.com. That's the Someone You Should Know podcast with me, Rick Anthony, making a difference one artist at a time.
I'm Christy from Crime Cave Podcast. I've had a huge interest in true crime since my days of watching marathons of Snapped back in the mid-90s. I needed an outlet to talk about the cases that have haunted me for a very long time. With each episode under 20 minutes, I shine a light on some of the most bizarre cases in the last 50 years. Join me in the Crime Cave.
And for the first time tonight, we have Aaron Newsome playing his Elvis-esque Epiphone guitar. I can't wait, everybody. Here we go.
Well, it's 4 a.m. the ass cracked dawn, the water heat is running cold. No coffee in the can, no bread in the bag, now the milk is 4 days old. Well, the truck got it flat on the way to the shop, and when I got there, the doors came in. There was a note on the counter, so thanks for the cash, I'm gonna be back again. It's only 8 a.m., got 10 more to go, I don't know what's happening next, man, having a rough day. Well, it's 3:30 and brick smashes through the glass. It's the same guy from this morning back to kick my ass. He said I'm back for more and I'll be out by 4. Give me all your cash and then I'm out the door. You took it all, I ain't got nothing more. Here's my keys, take my wallet and leave, man, I'm having a rough day. Well, money's gone, my job's in the shitter, and I don't know how I'm getting home. I got a baby that needs me, a lady that feeds me, gotta make it to a telephone. I get a hold of my girl, she's pissed, the baby's crying, she says, don't worry, I'm not coming home, man, I'm having a rough day. Well, it's 4 a.m., the ass cracked at dawn, and I'm just now making it home. Still no coffee in the can, no bread in the bag, now the milk is 5 days old. Well, my truck's still missing, my watch been lifted, and I lost my job at the store. There's a letter on the table, says I don't think I'm able to do this with you anymore. Well, my baby left me, and she took my child, that's enough to drive me wild, man, I'm having a rough day. No, I'm having a rough day. No, I'm having a rough day.
Oh, yeah, there's Aaron Newsome, everybody. Man,
Thank you very much.
That's a fantastic song. I love that. I don't think Elvis cursed quite as much like that, though.
That was good. That was really good, man. I thought Elvis was here.
Yeah. Well,
We
that
did
was
summon
Elvis.
him.
Yeah. Elvis. I heard a little Waylon Jennings and Johnny Paycheck in that as well.
Yeah.
Man, that was a great song. So when did you write that one?
I wrote that one in September time. Actually, going back to answer your question of what really, made me get into, I'm going to do this. Back in August, I did a fundraiser for Futures Unlimited, a group that helps with individuals with developmental disabilities. I did a fundraiser and sang, and I had a group of people who worked at Futures but volunteered their time on a backline, and we put a band together and did a couple of those oldie types of songs. We did the Temptations, we did some Elvis, did some Tina Turner. It was a really good time, and I did that, and I was like, oh, okay. I need to do this. So that was probably the one big thing that was like, all right. So, right after that, I was like, I have one song that I'm working on. I have another song that I'm working on. My roommate at the time was working at a sort of a place that helps with teenage boys who have done some terrible crimes that probably should be in jail, but can't go to jail. And so they are at, this developmental institution, whatever it is. And she would always be scheduled to be off at like 6 or 7 or 8. But she'd get home at 11 or midnight or 1 o'clock. And it got to the point where she'd come in the door and I'd be like, rough day. What happened today? One of the boys got out, they hit me with a stick. One of the, threw a brick through somebody's car. Just
not to laugh at that, but yeah.
Well, those are factually the types of stories. And that's me like underplaying it for podcast audience.
Sure,
and
right,
so
right.
it just got to a point where it's just like, everybody's having, everybody's had a shit day.
Yeah,
they
right.
just really have. And it doesn't matter what it is, but that was just one of the first times a song had come to me as opposed to me trying to get it out of just spending time on pad and paper.
Right.
It just sort of started writing itself.
Right.
And that took me probably about a month.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's what we came out with.
Good thing all those things rhymed.
Yeah.
They kind of fit right in
A
together.
wonderful iambic pentameter.
Amen.
Okay.
Shakespeare.
Yeah.
I understand that. I took a class on that in college.
No, that was good. So do you collaborate with anybody, or do you have a band, or are you just performing solo? How's that going?
Right now it's solo. I have one song that I'm in the process of writing with a friend from college. She does her own singer-songwriting, sort of in the same type of situation that I'm in. Knew she really wanted to do it, finally getting out there, finally doing it. We're in the process of writing a song. She lives in Michigan, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So it's
Right.
just sort of whenever we can get a FaceTime going.
Yeah, that's a long
But-
commute. So
Yeah, a little bit.
I'll be there in 10 minutes.
Yeah, right.
Right now it's just me soloing, going to open mics, finding gigs if I can book gigs. Just a lot of what I can find, what I can scrounge up. If I can spend an hour to drive there to do 3 songs right now, in this point of my music career, that's extremely worth it.
Sure,
I'm
right.
looking for exposure right
it's
now.
always
So,
worth it. It's always
yeah.
worth it. Yeah, because that's right. If I remember, you live out in God's country somewhere. You're,
Pontiac.
You're in Pontiac.
I'm in Pontiac.
Which isn't too
He's
far away.
Paulie's neighbor.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Paulie's
he is.
down there.
Yeah, our guy that does our editing lives out that way.
Okay.
Yeah, which isn't too far away. Everybody thinks Pontiac is like, forever and a day away, but it isn't. It's not too far away, but it isn't a huge town. So
No.
so it's like I can imagine trying to put a band together out in Pontiac. It's like, okay,
It's the people that I know of who can play, either because it's so, I don't want to say secluded, because it's right on the middle of 66. People are
Right.
coming to Pontiac just as often as they're coming to Chicago, just as often as they're coming to Joliet, because it's such a Route 66 and, let the good times roll oriented town.
Right.
And so, the people who can do stuff are associated with other groups out of Bloomington or Champaign, or they have people, and have dates and have already established things up in Chicago, or because it is that type of, secluded musically type of town, which not anymore. And I'll get to that in a little bit. But those people are like, yeah, I'd be interested, but I don't really know.
Yeah.
And it's just because I don't think there's that opportunity yet for stage time in that area.
Right.
There's a really cool place right now, and these guys have been helping me out a lot with setting things up. The Guest House. The 202 Guest House in Pontiac.
202 Guest House.
202 Guest House. If you're listening, the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast is always looking for sponsors.
The 202 Guest House. Mike and Steve are the guys that own it, and it's their home. It's their home. It's not a business, but
Wow.
They're really trying to get artists to come to Pontiac and do things in Pontiac. And they're also very local and community help oriented. And so they're always trying to, better things in the community, help out. If there's a fundraiser we can set up, we can help raise money for you. Let's do it. But let's do it by the way of getting some of these cool unsigned and small time starting artists into Pontiac to sort of get these crowds here.
Are they looking for like singles, duos, or like full bands?
I think they've had some solo artists, some duo artists. They've got the space, I believe, for a full band if they want to do it. They're in an old funeral home. They bought an old funeral home, and they live in the upstairs part of it, and the downstairs part of it is completely usable for. You need to record something and you don't want to do it in your garage. Come on by. We'll let you have the space. We'll let you use the space. Wow. Super, super awesome facility. Super awesome guys that run it. And that's one of the places they've got an open mic every second Monday in Pontiac. And that's where I started playing when I moved back to Pontiac.
Send me that information.
Yeah.
Send me the information on the place for sure.
I will for sure. Yeah. These guys are super awesome. Mike is a local firefighter. He's on Pontiac Fire Squad. And Steve was a restaurant GM for a while down in Bloomington, Indiana. And I don't know if he did anything in Pontiac, but he's always, if there's something happening in a committee in Pontiac meeting to help better something, he's a part of it. But yeah, these guys are super awesome. And one of the main things in Pontiac that's helping artists get at least, started, or if they just want a way to do something in Pontiac that's not necessarily in Bloomington or anything like that, they're like, by all means, if we can't have it now, let's make it happen sometime.
Yeah. I've always loved the town of Pontiac. It was great. I've been going to Pontiac quite a bit. Went back when buddy of ours by the name of Freak. I don't know if you remember. He used to be on the radio quite often with the Mancow Morning Show, and then he ended up on a couple of hard rock stations and the whole bit. And he owned a place. He owned a place out in Pontiac for a little while, and I think now he's more like around the Braidwood area, or so. But same kind of thing. He's got live bands there all the time, and because of his relationship in radio, there's always tour buses outside of his place.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you can go there and see some pretty famous people performing at this place. They've
had Lee DeWise. He won American Idol a couple years ago, and he's played at their place a couple times. Nice. Like Michael's been on a lot of these rock, like boat cruise, like music boat cruises and stuff, rock concerts and stuff, and just the connections that they've made and how just generous they are is what's bringing these people into like, you want us to come play Pontiac? I've never been. Let's do it. It's like a house gig. It's such an intimate. I think I told you when we were at the studio. It's you go in there and it's not a bar. It's everybody's in this sort of like a comfortable type of chair, and they're just wanting to listen to you sing and listen to what you have to do. It's super encouraging as well.
I've got to check it out. I've got to check the place out. I love places like that. Like the reason why I love the studio. It kind of feels the same way. Yep. Excellent. I'll tell you what. We've got all kinds of stuff going on here at the. We've got all kinds of stuff. That was I don't know my glasses on. That was Patty, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
That was Patty. that was Patty Romero, Ron's wife, CEO of the museum here. Before everything gets too loud and out of hand, because I'm starting to hear the other musicians start to perform. Let's get something else from you, because I know everybody wants to hear you. I know I want to hear you. So
alrighty, and with that, we'll be right back.
Yeah,
you're listening to the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast.
And here's Aaron Newsome for the second time tonight.
She was a flyer on the high school cheer squad. Never knew a stranger, always said hello. Her smile lit up the darkest room. The light at the end of the tunnel so blue. Fly high, little flyer, fly high. You won't be forgotten by those you leave behind. A beautiful soul, a heart pure as gold. Time has stolen you. A pain so familiar, but this time it hurts like hell. Your smile and your kindness live inside of my mind. I've seen them over and over 1,000 times. Fly high, little flyer, fly high. You won't be forgotten by those you leave behind. She was a flyer on the high school cheer squad. Never knew a stranger, always said hello. Her smile lit up the darkest room. The light at the end of the tunnel so blue. Fly high, little flyer, fly high. You won't be forgotten by those you leave behind. No, you won't be forgotten by those you leave behind.
I'm almost afraid to ask what that song is about.
A firefly.
Not a firefly. A friend of mine who I mentioned earlier who persuaded me to join choir about a week ago passed away. I wrote that song for her family first, and they gave me permission to post it, and it's helped a lot of people.
So that song is literally a week old.
Roughly, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was for Brittany. Her name was Brittany, and she spread a lot of light wherever she went, and that was for her. She was a cheerleader.
If you can't talk about it, but I understand. But I mean, what happened?
I'm not really sure.
Okay.
I'm not really sure. There's some things that have been said, but that's up to whoever.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Well, to Brittany,
I'm very sorry.
What an amazing tribute.
Thank you.
Definitely.
I the second you sang the first line, I was like, oh gosh, this isn't going to end well. But man, what a beautiful song.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Beautiful tribute. Wow. I almost want to cry. That was fantastic.
Feel free.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Feel free.
I am perfectly comfortable. Believe me, I bawl constantly.
Yeah.
I do.
That's a good thing about music is that, I don't think I would have been able to have grieved what had happened. Properly if I wouldn't have wrote out and did what I needed to do to write that song. That's just as much my emotions coming out on page as it is my creativity.
Yeah. Wow.
So when you do write, you do lyrics first or melody or both?
it's 50-50. Sometimes I'll get a melody. Sometimes I'll get lyrics. I don't want to, I never want to write something that's just to fill time on a potential CD or anything like that. I always want it to have some type of meaning. I don't want to, ruin that credibility by, just having a filler song because I need 3 minutes, on a record or 3 minutes here and there at a gig. Recently, with the ones that I've written and the things that I've been performing, it's been a story of creative liberty about my growing up, or my friend came home, said she was having a rough day constantly, that type of thing, where it's brewed out of things that are happening around me, and sometimes a melody comes to it. Sometimes I have the words on the page forever and don't know what to do with it because I'm not as proficient on guitar as I would like to be to sort of pluck things out as much as I want. But I'd say 50-50. Sometimes I get a melody that fits lyrics that I've already got written. Sometimes I write a song with a melody and then write another song that doesn't have a melody, but those lyrics fit with the melody of the song that I was previously writing, and I'll just transfer that over.
And you're going to find, now that you're doing this, you're going to have bits and pieces of stuff.
I already do. I carry this thing. I've got my notebook with me. I carry it with me everywhere I go because, I was in the car driving home from Lockport yesterday, and, I've got 4 notifications or memos on my phone, voice memos that just say I-55, because it's like, you're always thinking of something. You always need to have something to write down, whether it's a phone memo or, something on a page, so that I've had too many instances where I've gone to sleep thinking, oh, that's awesome. I'll remember that in the morning and wake up and go, what was that?
Yeah. Did you go to the studio last night?
I didn't go to the studio.
But you were
I was in Lockport, and then I got to Pontiac and saw that the studio had a backline going on last night. And I was like, are you kidding me? I was so mad. I had my guitar with me and everything too.
Every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday.
I knew about the Sunday. About the Sunday one. I hadn't been able to make it out yet. Yeah. So I was like, dang it, I was free.
Yeah, that's right. Wow.
Always check it out when you're in the area. You never know.
Yeah. Man, that was. I'm still thinking about that song. That was fantastic.
That was a really good song.
Fantastic.
Thank
song.
you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, there's, I've got a couple of songs that I've written that I can't perform them live. I can't make it through without crying. I can't, because they mean so much. And just the other day I started working on a song. I used the lyrics from something that I wrote over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And same thing. I've got like 24 of those books. Look exactly like that.
Yep. Yeah.
You just write stuff down, and you have to always be writing, because that it's true what they say. You've got your entire life to write your first album. And then if you become famous and you get a record deal, now you've got 6 months to write your second one.
Yeah. 6 months.
Yep.
Yeah. 6 months. It took me 1 year to do one song.
Right.
I'm still working on it. And I'm just like, come on.
But then you're going to get some that'll be like a 45 minutes. You got it done. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
And then you have some that sound like an Adam Sandler song. I mean, you'll talk about eating pickles in a shoe.
Right. Or you'll be writing something, and then all of a sudden you'll think, hey, wait a minute, I have something in my book, and you go and you look in your book from 5 years ago. Son, this what I wrote 5 years ago will fit with this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Or it's like I'll write something and be like, nobody is going to like these lyrics. These lyrics are horrendously bad. And then you hear something on the radio from a multi-platinum selling artist, and you're like, you know what? I think I'm doing just fine.
But even if you think they don't sound good, keep them. Don't just throw them away, because something.
And that's something I've struggled with, and recently just been like, don't even think about that. The only thing setting you back is yourself. Right. So it's like, the less I am in my own head, the better.
Right. That's exactly right. And you'll find out that certain words go away for a while and then come back again. Like back in the 90s, you couldn't write a song that had the word crazy in it, or going crazy or something like that, because that's such an 80s term to say, you're like, I'm going crazy, right? And it went away. And now there's so many songs on the radio right now where somebody's using the term, it's going crazy. So the terminology of using
it's coming back. It's recycling itself.
Yeah, it doesn't sound sound old and used
lyrics
anymore.
You said you're going to use lyrics from like 20 years ago in a song. Yeah.
That's exactly right.
It's the same type of concept.
Yeah, exactly right. So hey, time flies when you're having fun. I mean, we've had a great time. I've enjoyed talking to you a lot. So before we run out of time, what I want to do is let's talk about where you are playing. Right? Where are you playing? Where do you play the most? What kind of stuff do you have coming up here, so everybody knows how to go out and see you?
Yeah, right now where I'm playing the most is in some repeat open mics. You know, I'm always in Pontiac at the Pontiac open mic. If I can make Black Dog up in Plainfield, I'm going to try to make Black Dog. I really
know
like
those folks there.
It's another intimate type of setting. People are there to listen to you. Same with the studio in Lockport. Right down the road here, my buddy Patrick hosts open mic at the Chicago Street Pub.
Yeah.
I think it's every odd Tuesday. He's going to be on in a couple weeks to talk with you guys.
Your friend Hollywood Mike hosts one every Sunday.
My friend Hollywood Mike hosts one every Sunday at the studio.
Yeah.
So just if I can get out to an open mic, I'm getting out to an open mic.
Sure.
As far as dates go coming up, I've got July 25th. I'm going to be at the Kankakee Valley Boat Club with a friend of mine, Jake Vaughn. They've got a Thursday night summer jams going on from 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock. We'll be splitting that time frame. And then I'm going to be at the local tap June 13th in El Paso, 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock there. But other than that, I'm still booking. If you want to go ahead and book me, you can reach me in my email, aaron.newsome.music@outlook.com. Or, all my updates and things that I keep people in touch with are on my Facebook page, Aaron Newsome Music.
Right.
So that's
no website or anything yet.
Not yet.
Yep.
Working on that. Working on some things to get that going.
Yeah. Facebook works just fine. Everybody comes in here. Like young guys like yourself. Everybody. I always say, Facebook's an old man's. Social media, but it is still the best for musicians.
I know. I just hit 300 followers last night on my Facebook page.
Excellent.
And so it's that was less than a month ago. I was at 200 followers. So
hey, Rock and Roll Chicago podcast fans, go to a Facebook page and like Aaron Newsome.
That's right. Like his page
and like our page.
Oh yeah,
like our page too, of course.
Yep.
Yeah, you'll meet friends through there as well.
I've been listening to it nonstop. I was just talking with Ray about the John David Daly episode that released a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
that was pretty good.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
He's awesome. Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't you take us out with another song?
For sure. What am I going to do here? This one's about Pontiac. This is called Hometown Song.
All right.
Back on Locust Street, Handy and me, two of the meanest kids as kids could be, got kicked out of 2 or 3 of those babysitters. She broke a leg when I pushed her off that slide. I fell out of my bunk and I almost died. I don't remember a lot of those days, but I sure do miss some. No small town living don't get that big. Just ask me and all the other neighbor kids. Nobody gonna see me at home till those street lights come on. Friday night we're in the stands, cheering on a team, supporting our band. I don't remember a lot of those days, but I sure do miss some. Now Jacob, he was a neighbor boy, would go around town stealing all the toys and rocks out of people's gardens thinking they were crystals. No, my mom and dad, they didn't care where we went, so we hopped on our bikes and all the rules we bent. She said, you better be home by 7 or you're getting a whooping. No, small town living don't get that big, just ask me and all the other neighbor kids. Nobody gonna see me at home till those street lights come on. Friday night we're in the stands, cheering on our team, supporting our band. I don't remember a lot of those days, but I sure do miss them. Let's go. Now I'm 25, I'm living my own life, just writing these songs and following the light that guides me to wherever I need to be to get on the radio. I know that one of these days I'm gonna make it big and everyone around me getting brand new digs. And no matter what happens, I'll never forget where I came from. No small town living don't get that big, just ask me and all the other neighbor kids. Nobody gonna see me at home till those street lights come on. Friday night we're in the stands, cheering on a team, supporting our band. I don't remember a lot of those days, but I sure do miss them. I don't remember a lot of those days, but I sure do miss them. I don't remember a lot of those days, but I sure do miss them.
That's Aaron Newsome, everybody. Thanks for coming in, young man.
Thank you for
Thanks
having
a
me.
lot.
I appreciate it.
Good luck to you.
Absolute pleasure.
Wow, that guy, he's really good.
Man crush.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. You and your man crushes.
No,
That's
you.
Oh, me. Oh, yeah. God, he hasn't been doing it that long.
Not at all. And he seems so mature in his songwriting for his age.
Yeah. Great. He's got a great voice.
Yeah.
And really some really great songs. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I'm flabbergasted.
And I've seen him live. Great stage presence, the whole bit. He just held the entire audience in his hand.
Well, I hope he's successful on getting some gigs up here and getting out there and getting people coming out and seeing them.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. So as usual, thanks for listening to the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast. Check us out every Tuesday for another new episode. See you next week.
The Rock and Roll Chicago podcast is edited by Paul Martin. Theme song courtesy of M&R Rush. The Rock and Roll Chicago podcast does not own the rights to any of the music heard on the show. The music is used to promote the guests that are featured.
Rock and roll Chicago.